There's been lots of talk, of course, about what's been going on in sterling markets. Let me ask you about gilts, though, Bob, and where you see things heading into 2020. Make whatever base case assumption you make about the election, and then tell us your thoughts, because I've got this chart which underlines what Citi is calling for or suggesting is going to happen. Citi, illustrated here in the green line, suggesting that UK 10-year yield will be at 0.2%, that we'll see a cut in interest rates from the Bank of England next year, and QE in 2021. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's possible. It depends who wins and what's their appetite for fiscal stimulus. It's ironic to us that the central banks are still in this position, that as bond investors, we're still in this position. We're inviting governments to borrow. We've all taken real rates into negative territory. Come, issue, borrow, spend fiscally. It doesn't matter if there's a Tory government that gets in and doesn't want to spend, or a moderate government gets in and does want to spend. The bond markets are opening to borrowing and spending.
That sounds very generous from the bond markets, but those in
Aren't
government...
we a generous sort?
A very generous bunch, but I remember the adage that, you know, if you want to come back, you come back as the bond market, because it can frighten everybody. And if the bond market turns against you, if all of a sudden yields go higher, what is it that the gilt market can absorb then here? Because this is very relevant to what we're seeing play out in politics and the political decision making.
Well, the gilt market can absorb a lot in both ways. First, the central bank has a lot of capacity to cut rates, to return to quantitative ease if they need to provide the stimulus. If miraculously you see a surge in inflation because there is some sort of big fiscal stimulus that comes through, whether it's within the UK or somehow it comes out of the US or Europe in general, the central banks have proven that they can control the rate environment, that they can manage the journey back to whatever looks normal, although that seems to be a distant memory these days.